Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Contour community meeting. Today is October 13th, 2020, and per usual, we're going to start up with some news.
Yeah, I can cover this. I put this in here, just a reiteration of, we talked about this last week as well, but our 1.9 release is out. It's been out for about a week now. We got some big new features, including external auth, core support, and client certs for Envoy to present to upstream clusters, and a bunch of other things. So hopefully everyone can start picking this up. One note here is that we did upgrade to V1 custom resource definitions, which bumps the minimum supported Kubernetes version to 1.16.
Awesome. Any comments on the 1.9 release? Stevesloka also did a blog post for the 1.9 release with a demo video of the authorization function.
Yeah, I did the same demo at the Hanover Kubernetes Meetup yesterday, which was good. So it was well received. So folks are excited about the auth stuff.
How did that go?
It was good. Yeah, it's the one time in life where time zones worked out for me because they're ahead of us, you know. So yeah, it was good though. Yeah, it was fun. I think they ordered a pizza for someone and had it delivered.
Oh, that's fun.
So that was kind of fun. They did like a little lottery. So that was a good idea, I thought. So
I like that.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. And then next Tuesday, there's the Utah one I have again. If anyone wants to hear the same Contour spiel again.
Awesome.
I put it in the notes.
All right, let's move into what we have been working on. We got skriss first.
Yeah, I just wanted to call out a couple of deprecations and changes that are coming down the pike in 1.10. So the first one here is in the Contour config file. There was a field kind of at the root of the config file called request-timeout, which we moved into the timeouts block within that file. So timeouts.request-timeout. Several releases ago, but we left the old field around for compatibility, but we will be fully dropping that field as of 1.10. So if you are using it and you haven't yet migrated to using the new field, make sure you do that before upgrading to 1.10 in a few weeks. So that was the first one. And then the second thing is that we're working through sort of deprecating TLS 1.1 in Contour. And so with Contour 1.10, the default minimum TLS version for proxies and ingresses will change from 1.1 to 1.2. So this basically means if you don't explicitly specify a version, your default will become 1.2. You can always, if you need to, explicitly specify 1.1, but you know, we certainly don't recommend it given that 1.1 is sort of end of life. So this will be, you know, just a little bit of a behavior change, but hopefully you're not depending on 1.1 at this point.
Do you know what date 1.2 will be end of life?
I do not.
Just a random question.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if anyone else has any sense of that.
I was wondering if we needed to put in an issue with a date or anything like that.
I'm Googling, but.
Yeah, I don't think 1.2 is going to be EOL'd for quite some time.
Yeah.
That's good. Makes it easy.
So yeah, that's all from me.
Awesome. Thank you. Does anyone else want to talk about what they've been doing here?
Yeah, I added a quick thing about, I've been working on some of the XDS v3 stuff, and there's some config file options we're going to be adding. So that link is to a PR, which is behind a couple other PRs. So James, I'm trying to make this a little cleaner. So some of the struggles with going to v3 is the types are all different. So it's hard to reuse some of the same logic because things can change between v2 and v3. Anyway, but going ahead, there's going to be some options here that let you decide what to do. So today, Contour will still default to using its built-in XDS server that we've done since the start, and it'll still default to v2. And then over time, you'll be able to go and switch those parameters around to decide. I want to use Contour's XDS server with v3 and start trialing that out. And then we also have support for the Envoy Go control plane XDS server bits. There's also a flag there. That's the server type that you'll be able to flip as well. So going forward, you'll be able to start trialing out these things. So hopefully folks can be able to, in dev environments and such, give us some feedback if they could about how these things are going.
Hey, Steve, I just want to make sure I understood you correctly. So to use a Go control plane, you would set the XDS server version to v3, and then there's another config parameter that you would need to set as well.
Well, so the version right now is still in a PR. It's not in yet because v3 isn't all the code isn't for v3 yet, but the server type is in there. So on line 12 on Jonas's screen, you would change that server type to be Envoy, and that would switch and use the Go control plane implementation.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Thanks.
but it'll still use v2 XDS behind the scenes. So I have some PRs coming through. I started doing like listeners, but then being silly, Go won't pull in files unless you have it referenced from something. So I had to have the XDS bits in there to serve the files, to call them, to have Go compile them and do things with them. So that's sort of what some of these PRs are coming in to do. So this will stand up the XDS server, and then we'll be adding v3 bits as we go.
Nice. Any questions, comments? Sorry, James.
No, I have to drop the call in a sec, so I'll just mention that I posted a draft PR with a exported package for reading, for parsing and validating the Envoy config file. So that's something that I'm thinking we can share between Contour and the Contour itself and the operator that Daniel and Micah are working on. So in the issue, let me know what you think about that, and we can chat there. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks, James.
Hey, James.
All right. Any questions, comments for Steve there on the XDS config options? All right. Does anyone have any discussion topics for today? Anything you want to ask?
I think, Danny, you need a bunch of reviews, right? I saw my name pinging on my phone.
Yeah, I probably should have provided just some context around what had we been working on. So I've been busy just to keep pushing forward with the Contour operator. I appreciate everyone's reviews and feedback. The Contour config map PR merged recently. I just earlier today pushed a PR for managing Envoy through a daemon set resource. Stevesloka, I did want to circle back with you on the Contour operator issue 6 around create an image repo. You mentioned that the project uses GitHub Actions that push PRs with a tag, and you kind of asked if that was a workflow that we wanted to use for Contour operator, and we'd definitely like to take advantage of that. So maybe when you get a chance and you have some free time, if you could help me out there or point me in the direction on how to take care of that.
Yeah, I guess it depends on whoever wants to create the GitHub action. We should be able to just copy and paste from Contour. I think it just reads settings or secrets from the repo, so I can just copy those over into the operator repo, and then the GitHub Actions can just read those credentials out of there automatically. So I think the first step will be to create the GitHub action to do that. I think for Contour, we have it every merge to the mass or to main will push an image for a main tag, and then every release will get an image as well. But that one, I guess we don't have to worry about too much just yet.
Well, let me sync up with you offline.
Okay.
I haven't worked with GitHub Actions, and I bring this up. I think Micaiah's on the call as well, but we're starting to think about cutting the V1 Alpha 1 release. I mean, we still have a fair bit of work to do, but we want to start thinking about that. And so this was, one of the topics that came to mind. Another topic that came to mind is, understanding Contour's release schedule, and trying to be in line with a Contour release. So we could just, essentially package up the operator with Contour as part of a release, if that makes sense to everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I guess the bigger things, if something changed in Contour to the deployment of the operator, short of just, like config file options are what I'm thinking of at the top of mind. Because I just added one, is what I was just talking about. But everything else should just be images typically. So, but yeah, we can totally do that. We'll have to come up with a workflow. There is a, on the Contour site, there's a how to do a release set of instructions that we follow when we do a release. We can add the operator to that list. So whenever we're cutting the release, we can, cut both at the same time.
Yeah, because we were thinking, or Makai and I were just kind of talking about maybe creating a milestone and start kind of tracking, what issues and PRs and all that kind of stuff need to be part of that first release milestone, and to put a date on the milestone that is consistent with a Contour release. So
yeah, we typically release Contour monthly, so every four-ish weeks, or we release whenever there's a CVE in something, either Contour or Envoy. So yeah, well, we could also add some docs. I guess that would make sense, Jonas, adding those docs to the project Contour site, having like an operator list or a section, if there's docs to how to set up the operator, how to use it, that sort of thing.
Yeah, which was one of the things that we're going to create an issue for and track it as part of the release milestone, is at least some initial documentation. And I wasn't sure if the operator itself should have its own doc site, that kind of looks and feels like Project Contour, or now that you mention it, it might make more sense just to have the docs as part of the overall Contour documentation.
Yeah, to me it makes sense to have them together.
Here, right?
Sorry, go ahead, Jonas.
We could just add in a section here. That would work, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I guess we're talking about just generic docs. So like what the operator is, how does it work, what
exactly.
the CRD is like, and all that kind of stuff. Is
yeah.
What I'm
So, yeah. Sorry, Steve. Yeah, I mean, Jonas, the docs that you're showing here, I think are important, for Makai and myself to understand the Contour release process. And, but yeah, we're also talking about just general documentation of how to use the operator and to manage Contour. So we would have somewhere along that left-hand pane of, it's probably going to touch a lot of different areas, right? Just an introduction to the, to the operator, how to configure the operator, how to deploy the operator, how to troubleshoot. So I would see it just kind of sprinkled throughout the documentation, if that makes sense to everyone else.
Yeah, I was showing the wrong browser, so I was pointing somewhere else and you didn't see it. So yeah, absolutely agree. Add it in here to the regular docs that keeps getting updated for each release.
Should it be like version to the operator version? Like right now, that you're showing is the Contour version 1.9. I guess we can keep them in parallel. Or I don't know if we should keep them in parallel or not. Maybe that was your original question, Daniel. But,
yeah, that's exactly what my original question is I want to make sure that the operator is, there's synchronization between the operator and Contour itself. I mean, that's typically what we see out there is, right? I mean, the operator is managing Contour, so you would want to do synchronized releases with them.
Okay, then you wouldn't need, but I was thinking of having specific version docs to the operator, but we can just keep them in step. And yeah.
Yeah, that's the easiest way. Another way we can do this is to have the operator docs be processed in a kind of a different location, but it's convoluted.
Yeah.
So if we can add the docs as we do releases that often anyway, I think it would make sense to have the docs just here for now. If we had longer release cycles and we did a bunch of different versions of the operator in between those releases, it would make more sense to have it in a different location, I think. But for now, since we do monthly anyway, I think it would make more sense to just keep it here and maybe keep them in lockstep as well. That's entirely up to you, though. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah. No, I think we're on the same process or same page, and I definitely want to keep the operator in lockstep with the Contour release. You mentioned that releases are monthly. So is that like the first of the month every month, or is there a specific date? Help me understand that.
It's usually around the turn of the month, but it's not as fixed as like, you know, the first day of each month. But typically, you know, somewhere between kind of the last couple of days of the month or the first few days of the next month.
Okay. And I didn't catch on that release process. I mean, is there some kind of checklist there? I want to make sure that, obviously not at this very moment, but in the near future when the operator is ready to go, that, you know, the operator is included in that checklist to make sure they are synchronized.
Yeah, on this page, if you scroll down a little bit, Jonas, there's a how to deploy Contour or Contour release process. Yeah, under resources there. And this walks through like, you know, how we update the doc site for versions, because it's version for every Contour release. And then there's a couple spots. So I think for the operator, there's going to be, you know, adding obviously the operator release process, how we actually, you know, tag a release to the operator and that sort of stuff. And then part B, I think, is going to be like there's upgrade guides and stuff. So when you go from version 1 to version 2, anything that's specific to call out, like, hey, these fields are deprecated, or these new, you know, config options are here. I think same thing for the operator. Obviously, it should probably help us manage that process because that's its job. But if someone is deploying with the operator, then, you know, we can put specific information there as well in the, you know, in that upgrade site.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I need to spend some time diving into this release process. Awesome.
Cool.
Is Micaiah still on here? I don't know, Micaiah, was there anything that comes to mind or that you wanted to bring up?
No, I'm good on my side. Thanks.
All right.
So I'm working through, sorry, one last point is I'm working through fixing several of the merge conflicts with the Contour operator PRs that are in the queue. So I'm working through that now, and maybe I'll just shoot a message on Slack when they're ready to go. And if anyone has time, I would appreciate some eyes.
Yeah, drop it in the Contour channel, and we can take a look.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Any other discussion topics for today? Chad?
Hey, Jonas. You can always count on Chad, right? For a discussion topic or two. Chad, I've actually got a couple things for you guys. If now my internet is absolutely terrible today, so I'm sorry if I cut out or whatnot. It's just been, they're working on it outside. It's awful. So I've been keeping an eye on that Envoy issue with the header rewrite, and they're still cranking on it. He's getting a lot of feedback from a lot of the primary Envoy contributors on it, so it looks like it's coming along pretty well. You know, just been kind of keeping an eye on that. I know we kind of talked about that before a while ago. You know, we can remove headers, but how do we actually get the ability to kind of like rewrite headers? And if that's something that maybe, you know, we would want Contour to support in the future. But I know the contributor to this Envoy PR work in progress is very interested in this getting into Contour as well. He mentioned, so I definitely think, you know, something worth to keep an eye on. And the only other thing I think from our side is the Lewis stuff. You know, I think I've had Andrew and Kevin kind of looking into that, looking at Istio as well, making sure we have a really good understanding of how Istio works with HTTP filters, and any lessons learned from those projects that we could maybe bring into Contour as well to apply that. And I think other than those two things, I think that would give us a lot of the capability we would need for our production cluster, essentially from a Contour perspective. So.
I think that's great. Thanks, Chad. I know I think Contour would love to have the header rewrite bits added. I think that'd be fine. We have to figure out what the API would look like to do that. Like today we have that set header, which I know Nick had some reservations about having it implement this replace thing. So we'll have to figure out how to best do that, how to best implement that into the proxy CRD.
Right.
But that was going to be off to what Envoy 117, since 116 just shipped. Presumably, if it gets merged and everything today, not today, but relatively soon, then it wouldn't be into 117 of Envoy. So.
Yeah, and I've been trying to keep an eye on it just to understand like what it is and how it works and what the configs would look like. So, if I could provide any feedback. And I know Andrew's been working on like the V3 stuff as well.
Cool.
Just trying to understand like creating our own XDS server and integrating with V3 and so we can provide value to you guys, hopefully, right? Some feedback and ideas or whatnot.
Very cool. Awesome.
All right. Anyone else? So yeah, you want to mention the events again, Steve? What's happening on Thursday?
I put in the guide. There's the on Thursday. I'm not sure, Steve, you're going. I know I'm going to the Envoycon. So if there's any chat places, we can hang out there. That's this Thursday, which would be cool. Looks like a lot of good talks there. And then next Tuesday evening, I'm talking at the Utah Kubernetes Meetup. So if you want to hear more Contour things, you can go join that one. So that would be Mountain Time. I believe it is 2 hours behind me. I'm East Coast. So yeah, it'll just be more of an intro to Contour, demo Contour, that sort of thing. So if you all are familiar, it won't be that exciting, but more fun live demos. So yeah, that'll be it. So yeah. And then and then it's off to our KubeCon. Those talks are due Thursday, the 22nd, if any of you all have talks. So time to get on that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Really quick too, sorry, Jonas, but speaking of Envoycon, is we have at Red Hat a keynote speech about Red Hat's adoption of Envoy, and the plan is to highlight our adoption of not only Envoy but also Contour, and talking about one of our plans for supporting both in OpenShift. So keep an eye on that. I believe Micaiah is going to be joining Envoycon as well.
Very cool. That's awesome.
Awesome. So thank you, everyone, for joining today. Hope you all have a fantastic rest of the week, and see you all next week.
Thanks, guys, so much.
Yeah.
Love these.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.